Liam, will you sit?
Thank you.
So, and Brenda is our camera person. As some of you may be aware, Facebook is the Facebook platform is not firmly embraced in China today. So whilst we often transmit around the world through Facebook Live from our events, we are now doing so with the handiwork of Brenda and our WeChat account. And so it's our great pleasure to say hello to our friends gathering in Beijing today. Donald Gao, Andy Ge, and other members of the Great Wall Club at their annual conference, which is aptly entitled AI for Good. The Transhuman Code was born out of a vision that Carlos Moreira and I had, that we had access to such a tremendous universe of individuals who were truly changing the world. Policymakers, technology innovators, financiers. And whilst I had a particular interest in some areas that were closest to my heart, education for my young children, the future of employment, slightly interested in the future of transportation and communication and health, I did believe that there was going to be a need, not only for me, but for others, to have access to the wise women and men who are truly changing the world and are focused day in and day out on the changes that are going to occur. And hence the Transhuman Code project was born. We were very fortunate to have the interest of a strong publisher in publishing a book on this subject. And subsequently, we have initiated the effort to build a multimedia knowledge-based platform that we'll launch in the fall together with the book. You know, at the root of this initiative is a very simple truth, which is in fact how the book begins. And that is that the greatest technology of all is the human being. And whilst that may appear obvious to some and others may be doubting that positioning, I truly believe that this is playing out in front of us. And however, I'm most concerned, and I'm so fortunate to have the benefit of being able to collaborate with Carlos Moreira, the visionary pioneer of cybersecurity, in defining the Transhuman Code and its application to all those areas of our life ecosystem. And Carlos, let me turn the floor over to you to expand on this.
Thank you, David, and congratulations for organizing such a great gathering. So maybe on my background, I started my career as a Chief Security Officer of the United Nations in Geneva. So that was at the time that Tim Berners-Lee was developing the web, the World Wide Web. And at that time, and I know Tim very well because I used to work in the United Nations International Computing Center, which was the #1 node of the internet, and now we know as the global World Wide Web. We realized that one of the things the web was not considering was the human part. The person was not part of the architecture of the network. The World Wide Web is a network of computers, machines, and it's very efficient doing that. We have been using that for developing sites, developing news, developing Facebook, social media. But all the problems we are facing now of people losing their identity, people losing their personal data, is because originally there was no room for human on the internet. Then we didn't exist, as simple as that. Imagine somebody building a hotel and forgetting to make rooms adapted to humans. That will obviously be very, very difficult to stay in. So during my entire career, 15 years in the UN, and later by founding a company with the name World Internet Security, which is a cryptographic company, WiseKey in Switzerland, the vision was we have to put the human back there. Otherwise, this is going to be terrible for us. I mean, we're going to lose the control. Not only are we going to lose the control, we never had it. As a consequence, machines are going to be taking control in such an easy way that we are going to be in a situation we cannot get it back. So we developed concepts, regulation, technologies, cryptography. I was the first cryptographic root key in Europe to be created. Americans had, through the ARPANET, many military roots being already in place, but WiseKey was the first cryptographic root key that was created. And then we pushed the envelope to the maximum by saying, let's define what a human is on the internet. We need a code. So there's a need for humanizing a code. So what David says, then the human is the most sophisticated machine and technology, which is the case, no robot will ever be as sophisticated as a person is already. So what that means in terms of coding, can we code that? Can we code emotions? Can we code interactions? Can we code intelligence in a way that the machines of the future, and Rachel will be one of it, will be injected that code. So that code will not be something that the machine will inject on us and will create us as a superhumans. No, we don't want that. What we want is the code to be injected into the machines, so the machines become tools for us to become superhuman, but not replacing the human. So this is the entire debate, and this debate has been initialized in Davos. We organized a very, I will say, milestone roundtable. I have been organizing roundtable in Davos for 10 years, and this year was about the transhuman code. So we brought Singularity founders, we brought MIT, we brought Stanford, we brought 700 CEOs, and we told them, are we making sense, guys? And the answer was yes, really, please do it. Otherwise, we're going to be ending in a situation where we're going to lose the control. And to be honest, we only have one generation to do it right. It's not like we have 3 generations. His generation, if our generation doesn't get it right, he will not be able to do it right because it will be too late. So there is a consciousness being created around the world that there is a need to put the person at the center of the gravity of the ecosystem that we have created. And not the other way around. We gravitating around Facebooks or AI or whatever. So we did it in the form of a book. But the book is only, actually it's a smart book because the book is going to have a chip on the book, which is produced by my company because we are an IoT microchip producer. And that chip is connected to a ledger. And that ledger information is collected to IBM Watson. So the book and the transhuman code identity is going to be deployed in over 6 billion people and 50 billion devices. And behind all that is an artificial intelligence algorithm which analyzes all this data and checks all the time whether the data that we are collecting, whether the behavior what we are collecting, the emotions we are collecting is in line to what we will call a human chart of human digital rights. So humans has to be always in control. And we are educating government, we are educating international organizations, we are educating the standard body to follow those principles. Because if we don't, and you have seen already the case with Facebook, Facebook has gone out of control. And it's not because Facebook wanted to be out of the control. It's because their DNA was one day to get out of control because their entire business model was on monetizing persons as an object. And as a consequence, we cannot be an object on the internet. So that's the transhuman code.
One of the things, thank you, Carlos. One of the things that was most appealing to me when I was first introduced to Soul Machines, and it was through IBM Watson, was that the vision in creating a digital person was not to actually replace people at work that they were conducting, but actually to enhance their life and make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I'm going to demonstrate soon, we basically are augmenting human roles. We're not, replacing roles. I think people have this assumption that AI now is just in general a super intelligence, which it's not. I work at the cutting edge of AI, and it's more just sort of like a really basic graduate out of university. You have to train it on specific knowledge. You have to train it on whatever. But I think, we as a company, as an AI company, are creating more jobs certainly than we're replacing. But I think it would probably be easier if I demonstrated one of our digital humans.
I think, and when you talk about training, so Rachel literally has been interning at the Royal Bank of Scotland very quietly, hidden away in a back room, and let's let her out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool. So before I unmute her and allow for my audio input to go in, this is Rachel, and she is a autonomous, it's really key to emphasize that, digital human being. So I'm just going to unmute her and I'm just going to have a quick conversation that sort of demonstrates what it's like to interact with something that's basically an order of magnitude better than interacting with a bot. So, hi there.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I'm an expert on soul machines. I can talk to you about any of these topics. Which one interests you?
Why don't you tell us how you work?
I connect with you in a human-like way by sensing your reactions and responding emotionally. Wouldn't you rather speak to me than a faceless chatbot? Do you want to know more?
Sure.
Soul Machines uses neural networks to give me a virtual nervous system, so I can learn and react in real time.
Do you care to explain what a virtual nervous system is?
Sorry, I don't mean to be confusing. Would you like me to explain more about my nervous system?
Yes, please.
A virtual nervous system is an interconnected model of aspects of the human brain. It combines different neural systems to enable me to behave in a way that's inspired by biology. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Why don't you tell us why you're here?
I'm here to democratize technology by giving the have-nots what the haves have already got.
Can you explain that, please?
Well, according to Hal Varian, chief economist for Google, you can predict the future by looking at what the wealthy have today. Shall I give you an example?
Yes, please.
The wealthy have personalized services and access to specialized knowledge, right? That's what I can provide for everyone. I can be your digital financial advisor, your personal trainer, or even your digital chauffeur. Sometimes I even talk to myself if I need expert advice. Is there anything else you're interested in?
So like, what are you capable of? No? Okay. Why don't you tell us a joke?
Well, as you're traveling, would a card that earns you extra points be of interest?
So this is what you're capable of. You can tell me about credit cards. Come on. Yes, that would be great.
Is it for business or personal use?
Business.
Well, I found one with triple points on purchases, but it doesn't stop there. It's got low interest rates as well. Does that sound better than the one you've got?
A little bit.
I can transfer you to an agent to complete the application once we've finished chatting. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about?
Cancel that, but maybe tell us a joke.
What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick.
Oh my gosh.
Would you like to talk about anything else?
That's a little bit dry. No thanks.
No problem. Got a -2. Analytics to process.
Okay, so what's powering Rachel is this, which is, this is her brain models operating live. And that basically allows her to be autonomous. You know, that allows you to scale out having digital human beings acting as customer service representatives or, you know, whatever you decide to deploy them against at massive scale. We have what's called an EQ data system, which is basically a whole bunch of anonymized biometric data from, you know, auditory inputs and your biometric markers on the face, i.e. Micro expressions. Now basically we use that to train our neural networks to ensure that our digital humans are emotionally responsive. So if I bring her back, you know, if I do things, if I cover the light, her pupils will expand and shrink just like a normal human being. She has the ability to copy me. So. Which is a little bit freaky, but it gives you an example. So, you know, Rachel, she's being deployed at a whole different number of companies at the moment. She's one of our employees at Soul Machines, and it's really interesting watching one of your co-workers talk to a digital version of themselves on a day-to-day basis to train her digital version. And you know, we certainly believe that in the future we'll all have either a tertiary AI layer of ourselves or a digital human version layer of ourselves. And then obviously with that comes a whole lot of complex security questions, i.e. this is sort of where our partnership with WiseKey comes in and ensuring that, you know, people can protect their digital versions in the future.
So on that, what we are doing is actually very cool. We are taking Rachel, actually we are going to call Inez, which is Internet Embedded Security. It's a cybersecurity and digital persona, digital assistant. And you can put on your website, and that assistant will read all data because we have tons of data that we collect through sensors, identities, mobile phone. All the data is anonymized, so you don't have issues about privacy issues, but we will know real time through agents like that whether you are in conformity with the latest regulation on GDPR or regulations on e-sign, regulations on eIDAS, whether you are compliant with cybersecurity rules. And people accessing your website will get an agent like that, and they will be able to answer questions, even in extreme cases where you have been hacked, and they will need an immediate response to the press. Rather to getting a very nervous CEO addressing the press without know what to do, they will be Inez and will do it. So this is the combination between this amazing technology. By the way, one thing that has not been said, and the founder of this technology was actually the creator of King Kong and
he invented the technology that revolutionized the entertainment industry. So he went on to win 2 Oscars for his work and creating that. And what I should say now is, like, in the AI era, one of the big potential risks is that you have a lot of universities and research labs from around the world with these professors who are building these AI systems that you have no visibility on until they go live. So we were an R&D project for 6 years where Mark, our CEO, he brought in other professors of artificial intelligence and neuroscientists and robotics from around the university and from around New Zealand and around the world, and they worked on what is our core R&D platform, which is a artificial baby, which we do a whole lot of different sort of AI research with, and then we take the best aspects of that and deploy it into our digital humans. But there's no visibility on that until we start working with commercial partners, and then it sort of has the ramifications of changing everything very, very fast. But yeah, our CEO is absolutely incredible, an absolute visionary. So I'm very lucky to work alongside him.
So I think it's a good alternative rather than creating robots and they're going to replace us. Let digital assistants to improve us, to allow us to communicate better, to be connected to artificial intelligence algorithms, because actually a third partner of WiseKey and Solo Machine is IBM Watson. We are working with IBM Watson, then collects the data, analyzes, and sends the data back. So that could be a future where human has still a place.
And it all comes down to just quickly anticipating, basically, in the AI era. If you've ever been in a conversation with someone and then you're like, I knew that you were going to say that, it's not because you can read that person's mind, it's because you don't just communicate verbally. Like, a lot of communication is done through non-verbal communication cues, and you basically anticipate what that person's going to say. So that's really where our digital humans, they're going down that path and being able to detect empathy and different emotions like frustration. So for example, if your mother dies and you're talking to a chatbot, that chatbot doesn't detect that you're going through a stage of remorse, where a digital human will be able to deploy the correct amount of empathy to understand you, to ensure that that experience is really good.
Last fall, in partnership with S&P, we held a think tank in Dusseldorf. And we assembled 60 people, and the intention, I thought, was very pure. We were going to spend the first 90 minutes with corporate development leadership talking to us about what they believed the advisory community could support them most with and how they could be most considerate of the changes that were evolving. And the second half was going to be the advisors talking about how their roles were evolving and how they could be most valuable. Well, it didn't become that at all, because 15 minutes into the introductions around the room, what we learned was that everybody was most concerned about the impact that technology was going to have on them. So individual first, firm and industry second, client third. So we had a really engaging dialogue. I think it was very, very productive, and we made a commitment to the group at that time that we would continue to focus on this subject, and we would feed information back, which we'll be doing from today's session. In November, we had Kai-Fu Lee, who has been probably one of the longest and most prominent promoters of artificial intelligence development from China with us. And I asked him that question. I said, what is the risk to the M&A community? He said, as far as I'm concerned, I can only see benefits and opportunities. And I think what you're doing at Soul Machines is a great example of how, in fact, our industry can be enhanced with AI. But I'm sure a few of you here might be just a little bit more worried than you were before you came in today and had an opportunity to meet Rachel. So why don't we open up the floor to questions?
Maybe before that, just to remind them, we have China online, and yes, China is one of the largest AI investors in the world. And in our discussions with China, and we welcome the Great Wall community on this video conference, WeChat conference, is that China and the rest of the world needs to work in partnership on this. AI is not something that you can just do in your own corner and just using AI to fight against each other. AI needs to be humanity driven, and there is a unique opportunity to do it right now. There's a lot of people concerned about AI, and they are right to be concerned about AI because AI could be dangerous, the way we use AI. So I think a responsible use of artificial intelligence is something that is required.
Right. And we're going to have an opportunity tomorrow, actually, to talk about that very subject when we beam in for a session on how AI can be even better than it is today.
Yeah.
Right. So, do we have a microphone? Perhaps Ben. Perfect. So let's open up the floor to questions. Parul.
My question is that one of the things that we moot often at industry bodies is the ethics of AI. Algorithms are being developed by a same demographic set and therefore have intrinsic biases. And some of the solutions that computer engineers suggest is to have trapdoors. What is your position on ethics of AI, institutionalizing biases, and actually how can you in future change something which has been developed more biased?
Great question.
Yeah, so I think a good question is a smarter machine, I think this is from a documentary that just came out, is a smarter machine going to be a better machine? The point you're making is absolutely not. If you have, say, a group of computer programmers who are of the exact same demographic, and the algorithms that they build contain their biases. So in Soul Machines, we have an ethics board and an ethics program. So part of that is that we bring in professors of computer science and artificial intelligence from around the world to ensure that the algorithms that we're building are done in a way that is inclusive of diversity. So that's one part of it, and then I think having diverse teams is just becoming more and more essential. So we have a real focus on our hiring strategy to ensure that we really do have a diverse team at Soul Machines, and that's diversity in ideas, diversity in demographics. And then there comes the part of creating traps or other algorithms to sort of detect biases. And when you have a digital human, that becomes super important. And I'll give the example of Tay, the Microsoft chatbot, who was let to learn in an unsupervised manner. So that was the type of AI that they were using. It was unsupervised. Day one on Twitter, everything went really well. You could have a conversation with Tay. It was great. Day three, it was a bigot racist. You say hello and it would give you a whole bunch of slurs back. That's really not the AI that we look to develop. We do have unsupervised algorithms, but we do not deploy them straight away to our digital humans. That's really important as well. So the systems that you build are not always necessarily valuable. And what you deploy to the customers, you should really think about that.
Yeah, I fully agree. And we are also in a situation where AI is being developed now by persons. So by tracking who is behind the code, you more or less can guess what this AI is going to be because you have the profile of that person. The problem we are entering is the AI very soon is going to be created by AI. So we are coming to this super AI environment. And to be honest, there we need some kind of mixture between regulation, putting code on escrow, that people, we have many, I work in the UN many years, and we, for instance, have an agency that handles nuclear detonations anywhere in the world. So we know real time, every second, if anybody has detonated a weapon, a nuclear weapon, and we then activate an alarm system, and you have all the process of decision that is being taken just by the fact that we inform about detonation. So there are many references in the world on how they could be regulated, but needs to be done now. My point is that those algorithms are getting very strong. There's already an AI algorithm that is able to create a company. An AI algorithm creates a company, registers a company, registers people, it could register bots, and there's no people behind. So imagine a corporation being created by an algorithm. And this corporation will have an IPO and will be able to buy other companies, and there's no founders. There has been an AI algorithm. So this is happening now. So we need to be careful how we move forward.
I know, Mark, I saw you smile. You're wondering if they're going to need bankers, right?
But I do have a question.
Yes, please. Do we have a mic? Great.
Thank you, David and Carlos. Very, very insightful, very scary in many ways, but as internet was scary for the generation before, I guess. last week, I had a funny moment. I was in a taxi going out of Paris, and suddenly there was sadly a car crash. And so the taxi said, well, let me put Google Map, as one would do, so we can avoid the area. It seems that we all ended up in the same small road, and we looked at each other, all blocked, getting out of the cars, and everybody was on Google Map.
Yeah, Facebook friends.
Now, one of the dangers, maybe, of AI, I would love to hear from you, is that if AI, especially when we go to the third generation, fourth generation of AI, like you were saying, corporations being created, AI will have the answer to optimize, and that's maybe one answer. Humans, we have an answer that is not optimized, and therefore there are many answers. Isn't there a danger, especially when we look in M&A, therefore it's going to be that person buying that company and that's it, because that's optimal. I know that's optimal. You can put that in many business development or many business context decision making. Isn't there a danger that it becomes all uniform?
Maybe we can talk from different generational perspective, William. In our generation, I think baby boomers, we are kind of low IQ level towards technology. Although we invented the technology, we are totally confused now. And this is the trend internationally. So people will say, yeah, let's follow Google Map and let's follow what everybody says, and I do like everybody else. So this is the ideal community for AI because it's so easy to read, it's so easy to predict, it's so easy to analyze. Millennials are now triple processor, quadruple processor. We have kids and we see them how they interact. They never have one thing, they have 20 different sites, many of them we don't even know about them. They know in our generation, if we handle 5 friends, was already complicated when we were in school. They handle 250 friends. Imagine us handling 250 friends. So humans are progressing towards that complexity of the technology. So we're getting better. We are getting more sophisticated, and we are able to predict and to interact with the new technology tools in an unprecedented way. And that's what I think I am very confident that machines will never take control of us because we have elasticity on our brain, which is amazingly complex. And the Lausanne Institute of Technology, the EPFL, is working on the Blue Brain project. And the guys and their neuroscience, they're talking to us, say, well, we are only using 20% of our capability. We could use 80%, and we don't even know what this 80% left is and where it's going to guide us. So I really believe that humans will progress at the same time of technology. And we have huge amount of proofs that this is already happening.
Hard to see what that looks like, that situation looks like right now. We don't really know how that might evolve. I mean, there might be diversity in AI, and the way that two AI come to decisions is very different. It's very hard to actually tell how AI systems make their decisions and tracking, at what data points they're making those decisions from. And I think, if it comes down to providing you with the correct insurance policy versus coming down to who should die in a car accident when 2 autonomous vehicles are driving towards each other, there's varying differences in that when it comes to how it affects human beings. So, but I do think it's clearly a threat. I don't think there's any easy answers to it, and I think it'll be something that hopefully humans figure out day by day as events like that occur. I'm sure there will be plenty of negative events with that, and then we figure it out.
Actually, the entire concept of the transhuman code philosophy behind was exactly that. We invited, Davos is multi-stakeholders. So you have religion leaders, philosophers. We brought all of them to think with us. So that was not like this is a technology only the smarter guy in the room has something to say. This is like let anyone that has an emotion on relation of the future of the humanity can be part of the code. So the code will be, it's the same way we run companies. We select a board, and we might select not necessarily the smartest person of the company who runs the company, but it's there with you because you might need that intellect at a certain point of your decision-making process. The same thing will happen with AI. AI will be a tool that we can use, but will in no ways replace human.
How complex can it be? Can it get? I'm not asking for a definitive answer. if I can just bring you back to sort of reality, wife's car gets totaled, crashed into by a man in October of last year. I finally got paid. It wasn't an accident, by the way. I finally got paid out yesterday. But there were many elements to what was actually going on. So there was the other side's insurance company, my insurance company. They then appointed agents, or it's starting to get complicated now, to deal with this because they didn't want it in their core business. And then there was the guys that took the car away, salvage people, and it got really complicated. And I'm just thinking about all that time it took, and all these various agencies that all had a view, all got in the way. Do you reckon that somebody like in the future, AI can actually deal with this? Because it was quite complex, really simple issue, but very complex in the end.
We're certainly heading towards that. Like, that's where we are going, that AI will be able to do things in a much more optimized manner in, seconds probably. And you'd have your payout in a much shorter time, for sure.
We're dealing with about 5 different agencies.
Yeah,
they all had a different, not only did they all have a different view, they all had a different agenda.
Exactly, and I think that's the fight is going to be AI against HI, human intelligence. So this is going to be always there because AI reads data and reads things. AI is not intelligent by nature. It gets intelligent. It's like a baby. It starts to speak, recognize noise, and as you put a baby in front of a TV, the baby will learn a lot because it's in front of the TV. AI needs data. And until humans do not provide data to AI in a structured manner that AI can really do something serious with that data, it's going to be garbage in, garbage out, And this is where we have now. AI, and that's my concern when I talk to government, say, be careful what you give to AI, because you have to be very accurate in the information you're going to give, especially if you're going to transfer power to that AI with the wrong type of information. So I think it's going to be, it's going to reduce the human interactions process, which is very slow. And because we have something like a superior authority, intellectual authority, we're going to maybe say, okay, I follow that example. So that will reduce this fighting between people. But it's all about data. It's all about what type of data you can provide to the algorithm.
I'm going to have to wrap it up. I'm afraid we're running a little bit over time here, but Carlos and Liam will be here with us through the afternoon, and I encourage you to speak with them at the breaks. Liam, thank you. Give my best to Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. That was great.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah.